Krista, how are you? Are you ready?
All right.
Yeah? Okay. Do you need a pen?
No.
Okay. So,
Okay.
sure. Can I protect that so you don't cut in your face? How's that? Good. Okay, so Krista Oyasar is a doctoral student in the same institute, and she's also a published poet. So we can request her work as a signed copy later on. She's going to tell us the interesting topic of, she's going to tell us how to tell a story.
All right. My main research questions focus on Estonian literary society and the alterations in its goals and activities as related with the historical process and the key persons active in the society in the context of the cultural field where the society has been positioned. I don't know my language is right. Thus, I will observe how the society adapted to the changing cultural field and what were the relationships with the educational, political and power fields in the period of 1918 to 1944. And my presentation, how to tell a story.
Can you speak up a bit?
Oh.
Take time, speak up, there's plenty of time.
And my presentation, how to tell a story, deals with the notions of the center and periphery and their dynamics, using Estonian literary society and its predecessor as an example, as far as this can be reconstructed on the basis of documents and letters. Please let me know if I am too quiet, because...
You are too quiet, yeah. So yeah, just try and go slow. Pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps you should try standing up.
Then I
We might be able to see the screen. Okay, that's fine.
in his thesis on the philosophy of history, Walter Benjamin describes the thorough angel of history who looks at the history of humankind, unable to alter anything. The angel would awake the dead and make all what has been smashed. Does the angel have any hope to accomplish this, to remake all in its previous form? Do we have any hope, looking back at the history, in the manner of the angel, to disentangle the history up until each individual event and to reach to the causes of each event? In my presentation, I try to bring some clarity to a situation where not everything will be known, where many things remains shielded, and very occasionally mere guesses replace facts. When gathering material for my research, I thought, sorry. I started to wonder more and more why are some literary organizations well presented in the historical narratives and some others are not. What could be the reasons be? The appeal of novelty, of primacy, some unwritten principles of canon establishment, or anything else? Which conditions must be fulfilled to let an one-time major organization sink into oblivion? Could these conditions be detected and explicated? In order to arrive at the answers, or at least to get closer to the possible answers, I will have a closer look at two major Estonian literary organizations that have had a similar role and importance in Estonian cultural history. The Estonian Society of Literati was established in 1872. In the 19th century, it was a central national organization that had an important political role in addition to its cultural and scientific aspirations. The society's literary meetings often turned into heated political debates between groups with different views on national politics. As such, the Estonian Society of Literati was one of the forerunners of the Estonian national awakening. In different periods of the society had 200 to 400 members, mainly school teachers, but also writers, researchers, and journalists. According to its statute, the aim of the society was to issue generally useful books in Estonia, so that the Estonians could have a chance to educate themselves in the conditions when higher education was available only in German. Access to education was hindered also by Russification that started in the middle of the 19th century and concerned all areas of public activity. By the end of the century, all education in all school levels was based on Russian language, due to which of the Tsarist Russia to homogenize of the empire as a whole. This situation lasted until 1918. The main activities of the Society of Estonian Literati was the research and normativization of Estonian language, promoting new orthography. Coins, ethnographic items, and manuscripts were collected. Literature, poetics, and criticism were studied. The early meetings of the Society hosted presentations about language, literature, folklore, history, pedagogy, etc. Since 1887, the so-called literature triumph events were held where the best original literary product on production was honored and awarded. The Society issued school textbooks that were outstanding in their historical context. The activities of the Society came to an end in 1892 because of pressure from behalf of the state powers as well as because of their deficiencies. The other organization, the Estonian Literary Society, was established in 1807, and it was regarded by the contemporaries as a substitute for the Estonian universities and Academy of Sciences until 1918. Among the establishers of the society, there were many former members of the Society of Estonian Literati, and the Literary Society considered itself the rightful descendant of the Literati on the grounds of ideology as well as of the activities. The statute of the society stated that its aim was to promote literature, science, and arts, learning in all ways about our homeland and its people, working in these fields, and distributing the collected crops to the people. This was quotation. The society promoted literature and literary research, language development, including the regulation of Estonian scientific language. The society created much of Estonian scientific language, historical and local history research and publishing. In 1920s and 30s, the society was one of the major publishing houses in Estonia. As the literary historian August Palm states, the mere existence of the Estonian Literary Society under the conditions of Tsarist Russia was already a positive accomplishment. Russification brought along a strong pressure against national joint action. This brought along a peculiar mimicry. In many places, the sobriety societies played central role in the local cultural life, as such organizations were permitted by the authorities. And these sobriety societies had their own choirs and theatre groups and so on and so on. And of course, literary activity too. Estonian Literacy Society had 1,000 to 1,500 members during the period under question, mainly teachers, students, literati, writers, artists, researchers, but alongside also farmers, clerks, pastors. So it is a huge variety, and we can say that the whole nation was covered. The society issued an important periodical where works on folklore, history, and linguistics were published. These literary works were awarded. Literary events open to public were organized. Lexicon of correct language were issued that established the norms of written language, and it was it really was norms, because when some persons wrote to the Minister of Education that they don't like these norms, then the Minister of Education answered that this is the norm and you must accept it. And this was the basis of all lexicons of correct language until today. Scientific publications and internationally relevant persons collected. Letters were issued. The society was active until 1944, when its activities were stopped by the Second World War. In the present paper, I will study and compare these two literary institutions that have had a big impact in the Estonian cultural history, and both acted according to the same goals in different centuries, but one of them was highlighted while the other reigned in shadows. According to Pierre Bourdieu's literary field, is the field between objective relationships of different positions. Estonian literati didn't have any serious competitors except the wise men of Estonia. It was such society, like the wise men of Estonia, whose activity covered literature among others, but which was focused rather on local German audience. Estnische Literarische Gesellschaft, their contemporary, was a joint project of Baltic Germans. They dealt with the studying of the Baltic German literature and literary life. It had not many contacts with the Estonian literary life. Thus, the Society of Estonian Literati was positioned in the middle of the literati field, and its position was strong regardless of the inner contradictions. Grow inside the literati started already 9 years after its establishing. And so there was a strong row between the agents of the inner power field to verify who has more political and symbolic capital toward the others to orientate by their ideas. And the rows and fights over the power positions did not go unnoticed from outside, but still, by authorities. Still, the society was greatly dominating the literature field in the 1980s. During the next decade, the inner problems had grown bigger, so that the society did not accomplish much anymore and moved abruptly from the center of the field to the periphery. Still, the Estonian literati was able to accumulate many symbolic capital, which did not get lost. Until today, it is available even nowadays. It is possible that its value has even grown over the time. In his study of Estonian literati, Philip Douglas states that it was the center of Estonian intellectual life, its academy and university. You see, the words again, academy and university. and it would be difficult to disagree with this statement. It is hard to overestimate the role of the Estonian literati in Estonian national awakening and the development of Estonian intellectual life. The second institution under scrutiny, Estonian Literary Society, dominated on the literary fields alongside several different literary groupings until the year 1922, when Estonian Writers' Union was established. From then on, constant redefining of power positions takes place, coming to an end in 1940, when the change in political order marginalized all established organizations. The position of literature society did not remain constant during the whole period. Both organizations had a complicated relationships with politics. In a metaphorical sense, literati fell in the whirlwinds of the national politics, that is in the power struggles of different political groupings where the state powers engaged too, when the situation became unbearable. The activities of literati fall into the period. The activities of the literary society fall into the period when state authorities altered 4 times, and 2 times immediate military actions took place on the Estonian territory, namely the First World War and the Second World War. The alterations in the political positions of the literary society can be traced in the written evidence found in the letters of the society's key persons, statements made in the current periodicals and as open letters, in the official letters of the society, and in the protocols of the steering committee. Some clear interruptions can be pointed out. First time, the society moved to the periphery during the period of 1916 to 1923. And this was due to historical realities. The activities of literary society were stopped by the First World War and the Estonian War of Independence that immediately followed. After the war, the society had lost several previously important tasks, like Estonian government that was appointed in 1918 set Estonian as the official language of instruction in all school levels. Thus, the society lost its function as an open academy. The activities had become dormant already in 1916 due to the lack of interest from behalf of the steering persons. By 1923, the debates had been held as to which role the society should take in the new conditions when the national culture had got the chance to rely directly upon political power. After re-establishing the society primarily as a publishing institution supported by the Ministry of Education, the society started to move back towards the center of literary field. That period lasted until 1929, when a renowned Estonian novelist and critic Friedrich Douglas was elected its speaker. He brought new trends to the conservative literary society. So far, literary society had had a cautious attitude towards newer literature. Douglas, in turn, was one of the major spokespersons for modernism in Estonia, as you heard in Monty. Pilleri talked about it. And he managed to change the publishing policies of the society to some degree, although some conservative attitude was still preserved. Society was fixed as one of the central organizations on the literary field then. A new shift towards periphery occurred during the second half of the 1930s in relation with the commercializations of publishing. Publishing turned to commercial side. Society had grown to be the third largest publishing house in Estonia, and it is important to remark that the growth had not been obtained with popular mass literature, but quality literature, especially canonized authors, scientific publications, dictionaries and books of popular science were published. There were numerous tensions on the political field at that time, and the society often had to prove that it had symbolic capital, to have support from the ministry. The Ministry of Education, directly and through the Estonian Culture Foundation, allotted remarkable sums for publishing support for literary society, but these started to diminish after the President Konstantin Päts, was very authoritarian, got to the power in 1934. In 1935, the state-initiated reorganization culture life started. A decree concerning non-periodical publications was issued, banning all agitating, demagogic, and similar publications. And this description, agitating, demagogic, and similar, it was prescribed by the authorities, of course. State propaganda agency was established that engaged in the follow-up censorship of the periodicals. No direct pressure was exercised on belletristics, but problems in publication occurred. So mostly the problems occurred with historical books and the school books. No direct pressure was exercised on belletristics. The Ministry of Education refrained from close partnership with literary society, although the research work was still carried on there, and several important publications were prepared that are well usable even nowadays, like language atlases, literary scholarship, anthologies of human geography, etc. It is possible that the democratic atmosphere prevalent in the Estonian literary society, as opposed to the general autocratic atmosphere in the state, was one of the reasons. The lessening financial support caused the society to give more thoughts to the sales success. Hence, commercialization of the publishing activity of literary society. And now the questions, and I try to give answers to them. I still have time?
Of course, yeah. Oh. Plenty of time. Obviously, so if you've got questions to ask us, I can. Sure.
In comparisons of these two organizations, several major similarities can be noticed in their activity, goals, and life cycles even. Both were dominants on the literary field of a time. Both were engaged with predominantly literary research and linguistics, and both had a great impact on the intellectual life of Estonia. Even some of the key persons were common to both societies. How come, then, that the Estonian Literary Society fell into oblivion, but the name of Society of Estonian Literati is familiar to anyone with a little schooling in Estonia? Here stem some of the questions to be discussed in the following. Does the reason lie in the fact that national awakening era is glorified in Estonian national history discourse, and Estonian literati is just one of the major agents of groups of this movement? Has the birth of activity of literary society been overshadowed by the more important historical events, and not such as wars and establishment of the independent Estonian life? During the following decades, both societies are mentioned in encyclopedias and literary histories, but namely the society of Estonian literati acquires more and more iconic positions because, in addition to the Soviet interpretation of literati as a progressive force, it also became a symbol of nationalist movement that became an idol of the culture and educational aspirations in Estonia. Martin Benjamin describes active a process when the focus of the history writing alters according to the particular historical period. He writes, as flowers turn toward that sun by dint of a secret heliotropism, the past strives to turn toward that sun which is rising in the sky of history. And I think something similar we can find in our thing. Peter Douglas wrote very good research, very detailed research about the Estonian literati. And it was published in 1932. And the second edition was published in the Soviet era, but it had no changes at all. It was some article because in Soviet time the previous books were censored all the time. And there is a third edition that came out in 2009. And in 1963 there was research about literati as developer of folkloristics. This monography, this Douglas research was very convenient, and Soviet authorities liked it because its ideology, because Douglas made one person, Karl Jakobson, who was a major person in the national awakening movement. He made this person almost total icon, and Jakobson was very radical, and his views were very radical against the Tsar, and this. That's why this research was so good by the meaning of Soviet authorities. And this book was the only research about national awakening which was republished in Soviet era, and it gained a lot of attention. This book is really important even nowadays because nobody questions what was written in it. So everybody takes it the truth. This is ultimate truth about the literati and national awakening. But what about the Estonian Literary Society? There was another research. Margus Palm wrote it in the same year, in 1932, but it was more describing and fragmentary than analyzing and criticizing, and it has no, it hasn't any reprints, and it was a rare item after the Second World War because it was part of a forbidden literature which was hidden in the library's special funds, and anyone who wanted to read it had to a special license for that. So it was out from the reader's hands or eyes, and it was in oblivion. But there was 7 diploma works what were written between 1950s and 1970s about Estonian Literary Society, but these diploma works are mostly about publishing, not about other activities. I think it is clear that this difference between two researches and their faith is very important. Why one society is glorified and another not, because one was very accessible and other wasn't. And here is my second question. Did the historical events had large impact in the faith of Estonian literary societies?
Would that be something we could explore in a discussion, perhaps, with the maps?
I don't have time anymore.
Maybe just the last point, then we could.
All right, I just summarized that.
Okay.
I think it's very important that all major researches must be available to everyone, because it is very easy to forget something what you can't see or read or discuss, and especially when it's forbidden. And of course, the history has an important part too in it, because as I told, all societies were closed in 1940, and Soviets came in, and the British Union were re-established as Estonian Soviet British Union. So that Tartu University, the major university in Estonia, was re-established as a national university, but the society, literary society, remained in oblivion. Nobody re-established it. Yes, there were some attempts in the other countries where Estonian refugees were, but it wasn't successful. Yeah.
Thank you, Krista. We have a discussion. If there are comments or questions, we can perhaps develop some of your themes.
I hope it wasn't too boring.
I have that kind of face.
It looks like you
I'd
are
like to
speaking.
ask one question about theoretic tools. Will you use Walter Benjamin's and Pierre Bourdieu's theories in your dissertation about this society also? Will you stay to Walter Benjamin and Pierre
Yes,
Bourdieu?
I stay Walter Benjamin, and I think about Bourdieu. Bourdieu was my favorite once, but I don't know anymore now. could I proceed with him, because I like other theories that are more, I don't know, not objective but neutral, because somehow I feel that the bourgeois theory is very Marxist, and I don't like that much.
Walter Benjamin is the Western capitalist world's favourite Marxist.
Yeah.
Because he's got all these extra things.
Yes, but
Yeah.
his writings are very elegant. Yes, I like it.
For sure, he's got style.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure, but are there any other questions? I must say, I like the idea of the sobriety society being a kind of centre for literary activity. I mean, that must be unique. You know, it's normally the other way around, isn't it? The people, writers and poets and so on, get together to drink. But here, the sobriety, which was kind of state-sponsored?
No, it
No.
wasn't.
Okay.
But it was legal
Right.
in the same time when national societies were mostly illegal.
Illegal, right?
Yeah.
So it was the one place you could meet,
Yes.
so long as you didn't drink.
Yes.
And then you could sort of perform and read work. And
Yes,
Right,
but
wow.
there was some articles in the periodical at the time that said that these sobriety societies are not true sobriety societies, because
Right.
people still drank.
bit brown bag. Right, okay. That's brilliant, isn't it? You can imagine that being done as a kind of comedy sketch. Oh, sorry, yeah. So, any other comments or questions about Estonian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, shall we thank Chris again and then? Thank you very much.